Oh, hello, friends. Say welcome to Talking Sports at Work.
Welcome to Talking Sports at Work.
I am your host, Derek Pursley. This is Jack Pursley. This is Annabelle Pursley, who could not manage to sit still long enough for us to get things set up. So now she's got her tablet. And this is Itchy Pursley. I know he's at school today. It's a weekday, and so we don't let him skip school, but it doesn't really matter if they're late to daycare. So it's still morning time right now. We're recording this episode. You guys know I've been trying to do live episodes, and I might still, and maybe just put this on as like an intro or something. I don't know if I even know how to do that. But anyway, or I could just record the episode and post it later. That's what I've done, or what I did the last time. So anyway, hope everyone has had a fantastic week so far. Got a lot to talk about. It's not going to be a long episode, and I know I say that every single time, but today it's really not going to be. I've been thinking about it, and honestly been thinking about making changes to the show just in general. I've kind of gotten almost like I feel stagnant, or I don't know, just a little. I have this tendency to get bored with things, and once I get rolling on something, whether it's something I'm writing or this or what, I mean, not them, but just any project that I'm doing, I have a tendency to get bored on, and so I'm trying to keep that from happening with this. And so today we're mixing it up a little bit by including some special guests here. I don't know why he's got the Xbox controller. Why you got the Xbox controller? Are you playing us?
To play.
All right, well, that's what Jack's doing. So we've got some stuff to talk about. There's a pretty big game coming up this weekend, isn't there, Jack? Isn't there a football game this weekend?
It's gonna be a Super Bowl game.
The
Chiefs
Super Bowl
against 49ers.
That is right. Good job, buddy. And I don't even know what we're doing. You want to watch it here at the house and invite Grandma and some people? You want to do that? Maybe we can have some pizza and snacks and stuff and watch the Super Bowl. Does that sound cool? You want to say hi, sis?
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, what?
Can I have some goldfish? That's what I want.
You want Super Bowl goldfish?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Because I like goldfish whenever I'm watching a football game or playing it.
Yes, I know you do. So, yeah, we'll have some goldfish, and don't consider this as an invitation out there, internet world. Although, I mean, if you do want to come, let me know. If you actually know me, just text me. I'm sure we can make it happen. Anyway, what's it you doing back there?
He's laying down.
Yeah. So, we've got mostly the Titans staff fleshed out now. We know who the defensive coordinator is. We know who the offensive coordinator is. I don't think we've got a special teams coach yet, but, that's not, it's not important, but it's not as big of a deal usually as the coordinators. Let's see. We had some interesting developments come up outside of the Titans as well in terms of coaching with Mike Vrabel's interview. Cliff Kingsbury is now back in the NFL. Seems like Dan Quinn and... Buddy, don't do that. No, don't mess with it. What are you doing? No, anyway, it's okay. Ron Rivera and Dan Quinn, I think, are pretty much switching places. And I said at the time, Dan Quinn just seems like a newer version of Ron Rivera. Don't know why they made that hire. But there's some other things to dive into as well with how things went with Ben Johnson there, who I thought was I think a lot of people thought, was by far the front runner for that job. Let's see. We're also going to talk about Joel Embiid is hurt again, and I don't know why people get surprised by that. He made it through all of last year and maybe the year before, but he's been in the league for about a decade now, I think, and he's not made it through half of the season, not even half. I don't know, but it sucks to see anyway. And now is the time of year when I start getting interested in basketball, so we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Also, maybe dive into Mahomes and the elite company that he is entering into with the Super Bowl appearance. And if he wins, he'll be on a list that includes like Larry Bird and Joe DiMaggio and guys that have won 2 MVPs and 3 championships in their first 7 years. No NFL player's ever done it. He's never missed an AFC championship game. So, we might dive into the greatness of Mahomes, but God knows we've got plenty of time to do that. He's not going anywhere. Brock Purdy is also a very interesting topic there because it seems like there's one extreme or the other. You either love the guy or you hate him, which is strange to me because it feels like he's kind of a middle of the road quarterback, but nobody really has middle of the road feelings about him.
Daddy,
What's up, buddy?
can we like this to the Super Bowl game?
Yeah, we can do that.
Like that.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's see. Alabama baseball had something interesting happen with I made these notes a few days ago, so I don't remember exactly what it was, but the coach of the Alabama baseball team is in some big trouble because he texted a guy about a pitcher who was going to miss the game, and they were trying to place $100,000 bet on this game. And the guy, that's a whole story. I'll look that up because that you really got to hear about this. It's ridiculous. And from what I hear, there's no NCAA investigation into that, but there is into the Vols NIL. That's a whole. Oh yeah, did we get a chance to talk about that? I don't think we did. I started to. Yeah, no, we haven't had a chance to talk about that because I started an episode last week and didn't finish it because it was rushed and that was just a whole thing. So yeah, we're going to talk about the NCAA because I'm actually writing an essay right now about NIL, and I was already doing that before these investigations began, and now it's just taken a whole. Yeah, we'll dive into that in a little bit. Let's see what else because I'm going now back to my notes from last week that I made because I forgot I didn't do a show last week. I didn't do a YouTube show. I've done a podcast since then. What, bud?
Scoot up closer.
Scoot up closer. How's that? Let's see. I don't want to talk about that. Something else. Another awesome idea I heard. Like maybe the best idea I have heard in I don't know how long when it comes to sports media, and it involves two of the greatest coaches in the history of football. We'll talk about that in a little bit and more. Sissy, what, buddy?
Can I get that and show?
Yeah. You want to show everybody? Jack wants to show you all this stuff back here. All right, go ahead.
Look at this.
Who is that?
Derrick Henry.
That's right. That's your Derrick Henry thing.
And a helmet.
Yeah.
And my Vols Big 8.
You got lots of coins in there now.
And
That's Steve McNair.
We've got Steve McNair. And we've got the Oilers finger.
No, that one's the Titans finger.
Oilers.
Well, it's the same thing. Looks cool, though. Where'd we get that? You remember?
From the Titans game.
That's right. All right, guys. So we are going to take a quick break. They have to go to daycare now.
No.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No.
But I'll see you again in a little while. I got too much other stuff I have to do today, too. I got to do schoolwork and everything else. Why? You got to go see your friends.
No.
All right, Cece, can you pause it for a minute and talk to the people on the internet? Here. What do you want to say? Hey, people on the internet. Also, I don't know how this is going to sound because I normally do it with my AirPods in, and I'm not today, so you guys could be able to hear them. I thought about it. I've got that music going in the background, too. I hope it didn't make any mess of things. But I'll maybe have time to listen to this before I post it. Probably not. I don't know. I might just check the audio, though, and see how it sounds. Anything else you want to say, Sissy? Baby, buddy, quit doing that.
Hello.
Hello.
Guys.
I'm going to show everybody our handshake. Show them how we do it. Boop. Hang on. Other hand. This hand. Go. Boop. And boop. And boop. And boop. And boop. 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 Good job. Where'd Jack go? Where's Jack? Yes. All right, so I'm going to have to edit that because I don't want Sissy showing you her boobs, so I'm going to have to figure out how to remove that part from the video. Anyway, no, Sissy, don't do that, baby. You can't do that. All right, say bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right, figure out how to edit that somehow.
What is you?
All right, love you guys. Here, you want to push the button? Somebody's calling.
What button is it? Which button is it?
Just click it on there. All right. Hello again, friends, and welcome back to Talking Sports at Work. That reminds me, I got to come up with a new thing. Hello, friends. That's Brad Nessler's thing. And I'm sure I probably knew it subconsciously and maybe just, ripped him off. And since he and I are obviously on the same level when it comes to sports media personalities, I got to come up with my own new thing. Excuse me. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I used to say hello, internet people, whenever I did videos back when I used to do Instagram live stuff back. I haven't thought about that one. I don't know. Hello, America, or hey, everybody. I don't know. Anybody's got any good ideas? I'm up for suggestions. Maybe we'll do a poll or something. Anyway, also, I know that looks trashy as all hell, with the Vols blanket up over the curtains, but it's just, I mean, you see how bright it is even with that blanket there. It was impossible without it. So that's at least making it better. I got to get some blackout curtains up there, I think. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed this morning's guest visit with the kids. I'm going to try to start doing that more, I think, and maybe just incorporate them into the show more in general because, I mean, they're fun. They're more fun than I am. So I figure they'll probably be more fun to watch than I am. Excuse me. So we're going to do just a kind of quick show, I think, today. I'm going to add this video to the other one. And that's something else. I've spent hours today just learning about new video software and streaming software and watching tutorials and reading about them. And I'm still just overwhelmed. Like, there's way too much to it. And so at this point, I'm still using Riverside, which you can probably see. I think there's a watermark up there. And honestly, it's so far the easiest to use, but it's definitely not without its problems. Excuse me. Some parts of it are a pain, but it's very, very simple. And that's what I'm going to use until I get things figured out a little bit better. So I mentioned earlier the Alabama baseball scandal, and I feel like this is worth talking about because I hadn't heard anything about it until a few days ago. And this happened last year, back in April. Apparently, what happened is the then coach, manager, whatever, of the Alabama baseball team was communicating with this bettor and sending him information to help him win bets. And one thing, what they got caught with was, what was his name? Bohannon, the coach, sent a message to this guy, Neff. What's his full name? Let's see. Bert Eugene Neff. So Bohannon sent him a message telling him that their starting pitcher was hurt and was going to be scratched for the game against LSU. And without that starting pitcher, who's evidently really good, LSU is going to be a favorite. But that he hadn't reported that to anyone else yet. He was telling this guy so this guy could go place a bunch of wagers on LSU for them to win. And they got caught doing it. Apparently, they sent a message on this messaging app that's supposed to be similar to Snapchat, where shit just, where it disappears. By the way, if anybody thinks that actually exists, you're an idiot. These people deserve to get caught. If there's something you don't want people to know, don't send it to them. If you don't want something going public, don't send it. It doesn't matter if it's Snapchat. It doesn't matter if it's a messaging app designed specifically for that purpose. No, just don't do it. Tell them. Whisper it in their ear. Call them on the phone. Don't send them. Don't leave a paper trail, a digital paper trail, ever. It's just, there is no such thing as privacy or things disappearing or being deleted immediately. It doesn't exist anymore. You're just stupid if you believe that. Anyway, so these guys were stupid. And he sent him this message on an app that's supposed to be private. Excuse me. And told him that the pitcher was going to be out and to go place a bet on LSU. So, all right, let me turn this other screen off here. Wait, what just happened? Anyway, so the guy does it. But sorry, I'm getting notifications and stuff here. Anyway, the guy goes to BetMGM, tries to place a $250,000 bet. He also tried to do it at FanDuel, apparently in person. At some place that they had, the people got suspicious because there was a maximum amount that he could place on that game, and he was trying to. And this is stuff that I heard on Mad Dog Radio the other day. A lot of this I'm getting from the article on ESPN's website, but some of this I just heard on Mad Dog. Apparently, he argued with them and said, no, this is a sure thing. I'm sure about this. And please let me bet more. I don't know what the max was, but he was trying to wager hundreds of thousands of dollars. And obviously that raises some red flags when you've got this guy trying to bet this large amount, saying it's a sure thing, which, of course, I'm sure they're used to dealing with that all the time. Some gambler at the window saying, oh, this is a lock, please let me place this bet. But anyway, this one was very suspicious. And so, yeah, they got caught. The guy who was trying to place the bet is now facing up to 10 years in prison and a huge fine. The baseball coach, Bohannon, has been fired or quit. I don't know one. But somehow nobody's talking about this. I hadn't heard anything about it. I don't know. Maybe you guys had heard something about it. But living, in SEC country, just not that far from the state of Alabama, you'd think this is something we would have heard more about. And especially given how much the NCAA loves to investigate Tennessee, why is nothing else happening here? Because from what I can gather, and I read a little bit into it, that was the end. The coach was fired or quit, and that's it. Really? We get crazy investigations left and right when stuff not even nearly that bad is going on. But, for NIL stuff, which, by the way, is its whole other own discussion, there are no rules to NIL. That's the problem with it. Now, I mentioned earlier, I'm writing an essay actually about NIL, and it started because I'm in this research and persuasion class. You guys know I'm almost finished with my degree now. And we had a list of articles to choose from that we could write this persuasive essay about the topic or the article itself. And one of them was from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar a few years ago, talking about how student athletes should be paid. And so I decided, I'm going to write my article about this, and looking forward, 2.5 years after NIL began, and, what's its effect on college sports and college athletes. And, I was pretty happy with what I was doing. And then this NCAA investigation comes up about Tennessee. And so, of course, I have to include that in my essay. So I'm actually digging pretty deeply into this, and already was before it even came out. NIL, there are no rules to it. There are these guidelines in place, but one of the main ones is that it is not supposed to be used as a recruiting tool. Come on. Does anybody believe that literally every single major university in the country is not immediately using it? Texas A&M already was before it was even approved. Hell, half the major ones were before it was even legal to do it. You really think that's an appropriate rule to have in place, that this can't be used for a recruiting tool? These kids already have their NIL deals in place, signed, sealed, delivered, ready to go, agreed upon, before they even commit to these places. Everybody uses it as a recruiting tool. That's what it is. And so we're going to be investigated for it, literally. And I hate the overusage of that word over the last decade or so. This is a literal, correct usage of the word literally. Every single university uses that. Every university that has a collective, has boosters, uses it as a recruiting tool. That's what it is. Now, that's one part of it. What was the other part? The other part, because there are really just two guidelines from what I can tell. And again, I've looked into this a good little bit over the last few weeks. It's not supposed to be used as a recruiting tool. Everybody does. And the athletes are supposed to be able to receive money in exchange for providing some sort of service, usually a marketing service. Now, that could be considered doing a commercial for Wendy's. That could be a local car dealer commercial. That could be posting something on social media about a friggin' local nail supply. It doesn't matter. But as long as this kid can receive money if he is doing some sort of service, an appearance at the opening of a car dealership, anything like that, and okay, they're good with it. Can't be used as a recruiting tool, has to be done in exchange for some sort of marketing thing. Well, of course, now all these universities have these collectives of boosters that have developed overnight, that their entire sole purpose is to gather money to put towards an NIL fund and get these big recruits to come. Everybody did that immediately. Most of them already had it in place. So But the other problem is, in addition to the fact that the guidelines are so ridiculously vague and just ambiguous, the problem is the NCAA is in no position to enforce any of this shit anyway. They don't have any power anymore. The NCAA is almost impotent at this point when it comes to football and basketball. Now, they may still have some say in, women's gymnastics or something, but when it comes to college football, where the real power now is in the conferences and the media, the ESPN and the media people. Those are actually the respected authorities in this stuff now. It's not the NCAA. So you've got this organization that has accepted this new system in place, has put almost no real rules in place, only some guidelines that they knew no one would follow and that are very open to interpretation anyway. And then this same organization now wants to go and investigate Florida State, and Tennessee for breaking these completely vague and impossible guidelines that literally everyone is breaking. That's ridiculous. And nobody respects the NCAA enough. I mean, you saw how Michigan fought back when they were actually cheating. They were cheating. They were gathering information. They had a guy dressing up like friggin' a spy and playing James Bond, dressing up like in a disguise to go on other teams' sidelines and gather information. That's cheating. What happened to Michigan? They just won the national championship this year. Nobody cares what the NCAA says anymore. They have no authority. They have no power. They have no respectability. No, that's it. So why they would want to, instead of, putting together a committee to try to round out these rules and actually set down some real achievable guidelines and a system in place for enforcing them, they just want to go and start investigating these universities for breaking the guidelines that don't even really exist in the first place. I mean, it's nuts. Not to mention the fact that state laws on this stuff are different from one state to the next. It's the Wild West. It's chaos. And the fact that the NCAA is now going to go and investigate, it's just crazy to me. And it's crazy to everybody. And you saw the Tennessee Attorney General, the Virginia Attorney General have both already filed lawsuits against the NCAA because of this stuff. I'm glad to see the entirety of the state of Tennessee standing up and saying, no, F you, we're not putting up with this. The Tennessee Attorney General, the university president, everybody, other lawmakers from Tennessee saying, no, we're not having it. This is ridiculous. And I'm very glad to see that. And that's similar to how Michigan stood behind their university whenever the NCAA tried to go after them. Now, that investigation's still ongoing, and the NCAA may conclude it at some point and say, oh, we're going to vacate those wins, and we're going to make them give back the national championship. Who cares? We know what happened. Everybody knows who won the national championship this year. Just like everybody knows Reggie Bush won the Heisman a few years ago, or, it's been a while ago now. Just like everybody knows, Tennessee's win-loss record during Jeremy Pruitt era. This stuff doesn't matter. The NCAA has no authority anymore. So anyway, I went off on a crazy, that was much, much more than I meant to say on that topic, but those are my thoughts on that. I've already taken 13, almost 14 minutes now. So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to look over my notes, see what else is worth discussing. I will be right back. Uh-oh, where'd my mouse go? Crap, where did my mouse go? All right, well, there we go. All right, hey again, everyone. So, excuse me, got a few more things just quickly to touch on. First of all, I'm very happy with the way the Titans staff is rounding out. I think I'd mentioned before at first, I think it's a good idea for a rookie head coach to hire at least one really experienced coordinator, but I don't know that applies necessarily with Brian Callahan. And that's not just fan talk. That's not just me justifying what he's done. I really do like the hires that he's made because I don't think fits the usual mold of a rookie head coach. I mean, he was born for this. His father was a head coach, and this is one of the examples where I guess I'm okay with the rampant nepotism in the league because it favors my Titans. But, he hired Nick Holtz, who from the Jaguars as the offensive coordinator, as the passing game coordinator, or was there. I don't know much about him, but what I read seemed pretty good. I was actually hoping that he would hire someone who's more of a running backs coach, run game specialist, just because we know that Callahan's specialty is the passing game, and so maybe it'd be good to kind of have that balance with the coordinator being a run game specialist. But Holtz, from everything I've read, seems like a good pick. Then also Denard Wilson as the defensive coordinator, which he was apparently a very hot commodity. The Giants wanted him. I think I read somebody else wanted him for the DC job. And he chose the Titans, which is really cool and really promising. He's one of those hot up and coming guys that if he does well, probably will be a head coach himself here in a few years. But yeah, both of those guys are going to be coordinators for the first time. But they both seem like good, very talented up and coming coaches. Also, we did manage to steal Bill Callahan as the offensive line coach. He's going to come and work for his son. I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic there. I'd like to see how that goes. But obviously one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, and God knows we need that. We need all the help we can get up there. I also saw something interesting just a few minutes ago that said Brock Bowers has evidently said something about wanting to play for the Titans. I don't know what it was. I didn't read the article, but he's an elite talent. That's not our biggest need right now. We need to draft a left tackle in that first round. And obviously Brock Bowers is likely to go in the probably top 10, certainly top 15. Excuse me, but our priority has to be Joe Alt there, I think. Fashion, been falling down all the mock drafts that I've read. A lot of people have him falling out of the top 10. And, whereas everything I had seen and read up until the last couple of weeks, he was, a top 5 talent, top 3 talent in this draft. Now, all the talk I'm hearing about him is he's really raw. He's got a ton of upside, but not sure about him. And so, yeah, it seems like Joe Alt is now the more surefire thing. Either one of those guys, though, that's got to be the way we go, assuming that they are both there. Another interesting Titans related thing I saw was apparently Mike Vrabel. We know he interviewed for a couple of jobs, the Panthers, the Chargers, which the Chargers, I think, were going with Harbaugh all the way anyway. But the Panthers, and it seems like there was at least one more. And apparently, I think it was Diana Rossini was talking to an NFL GM at the Senior Bowl or somewhere who told her that his physical presence, Mike Vrabel's just imposing physical linebacker presence, was kind of an intimidating thing for front office guys and might be one of the reasons why he didn't get hired this cycle. And I just thought that was hilarious and, kind of ridiculous. But I mean, I guess you got to think about it. It's a similar thing why I think Bill Belichick didn't get hired. These front office guys were intimidated by, the majesty of Bill Belichick, and they knew that, all of their authority is going to be superseded by him as soon as he walks in the door. And so, that's what happened with the Falcons. Arthur Blank wanted him, but the front office guys didn't want to give up all the authority that they knew they would have to. And so it's a similar thing. They were intimidated by Bill Belichick. They were apparently also intimidated by Mike Vrabel. So that's a very interesting thing, I think. One other topic on that note, Cliff Kingsbury is now going to be the offensive coordinator in Washington. Well, actually, there were a couple things I want to talk about with Washington real quick because I was listening to Mad Dog Radio the other day when this was announced, and they were just bashing the living hell out of Cliff Kingsbury. And, and they said, what's the most memorable image of his time in Arizona? And I said it out loud. The same thing that they were thinking is apparently the same thing. It was that image of him during the draft. I guess it was the COVID draft. In his ridiculous mansion, just looking like the coolest person who has ever lived in this super living room in Arizona with this amazing just wall of glass and window looking out this amazing view, and you could see his pool, and he's sitting there with his feet up. If you haven't seen that image, just Google Cliff Kingsbury home or something like that. And yeah, that is the lasting image. That's the one thing you remember. It wasn't anything he actually did on the field. And, they were saying, if anything, Kyler Murray was no better for having him. And his real only achievement is being connected to these great quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Kyler, and they didn't mention it, but Johnny Manziel. And the fact that he really hasn't done too much to, help, or he hasn't been really successful as a coach. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I think it's an interesting hire. We'll see how it goes. He's at least got some talent, but they were basically saying that he's similar to what Adam Gase used to be, just this guy who's going to continue to get opportunities, even though he's never done anything worth note. Anyway, also on Washington, I still don't know what happened with Ben Johnson. Everybody seemed to think, including myself, that was the direction that was headed. But now, over the last week or so, we've heard there were two factors, maybe. It was either one or the other or both. Either he didn't interview very well, or his asking price was so high that it spooked other teams. Now, I read an even further sort of theory into that, which is that maybe some NFL executive put that out there, that his asking price was too high, to scare away others because they wanted him. So I don't know, but and then I've also heard the theory that maybe that was complete bullshit anyway, and it was just put out there to sort of cover up the fact that he really didn't interview well. I don't know, but whatever the case is, they didn't hire Ben Johnson. It looks like Ron Rivera and Dan Quinn are just going to switch jobs. Rivera's interviewing for the Cowboys DC job, and I said at the time, it's like, why even fire Ron Rivera if you're just going to hire Dan Quinn? Just seems like a younger version, or like a slightly newer version of Ron Rivera. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know, man, but they've got some options there. I was also listening to some stuff this morning and saw something about it earlier about them possibly wanting to trade up and get Caleb Williams. I don't know. I don't think that would be a great idea because of all they would have to give up to do it, even if it's a possibility, which if the Bears want Williams, they're not going to do it anyway. I don't know that there's anything that Washington could give the Bears to make it worth it if they want to draft Caleb Williams. But, I don't see Caleb Williams as being a can't miss type guy. I see him as being good, but I don't think there's that big of a gap between him and Drake May. I do think that there is a little drop off after those two. I know everybody's considering Jaden Daniels as being up there now. I don't really. I think it's still those two guys, and then there's a little drop off, and then you've got Jaden Daniels. And I think Michael Penix is going to be a good quarterback. I don't think Bo Nix is going to be. But, anyway, there are some options out there. We're also hearing that I heard one thing that sounded good was Russell Wilson maybe going to the Steelers, and they basically get him for free because the Broncos are going to be paying a shitload of money to Russell Wilson still for a little while. And anything that they give would actually go to the Broncos to offset that. It's weird. But I think that would be a good match. And, Arthur Smith has been good with a guy like that, and Ryan Tannehill, and sort of helping him revamp and rejuvenate his career. So I like that. And then also, I heard the talk about Fields to Atlanta, maybe. And obviously all this stuff that we hear, it's going to be completely different in a couple of months when the draft actually gets here. But that's all what the talk is right now. And we've got to fill, they have to fill their TV time. I like talking about off-season stuff. So yeah, then let's see, got 9 minutes here. I'm going to pause really quickly, talk about maybe one or two more things. Oh, really quickly, I was going to do Super Bowl stuff, but I'm going to save that. I'm actually going to do a Super Bowl betting bonus issue. I'm going to look through some of the what the player props are and stuff, and what sort of specials are out there. And I'm going to do a special episode here sometime within the next couple of days. It's going to be like a Super Bowl betting issue, or a Super Bowl betting episode. And it's worth listening to. I mean, again, don't just take my word because I don't always win, but I usually do. I'm pretty good with this stuff. So anyway, I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. All right. Hello, interwebs, back again. So I think I've already gone over 30 minutes and I'm trying to keep this kind of light. So I think I'm just going to do a quick sort of topic lightning round. Still got a few things left on the list. So we will go through those really quickly and then we'll probably try to start wrapping things up. First of all, Joel Embiid is hurt again. That sucks. I'll know more about. I haven't paid much attention to basketball. I never do until February. So now is the time of year when I start getting into things. The Clippers now look like they might be a real threat again. The Lakers are up and down, and who knows if they can actually still last and make it to the playoffs with any sort of energy and health left. the Grizzlies are totally out of the equation this year. And those are, my two teams are the Lakers and the Grizzlies. The Chiefs, this is something that I keep trying to talk about, but I always sort of run out of time or never prioritize it. The Chiefs as villains, it doesn't work. And everybody now wants to compare them to the Patriots dynasty, which in terms of success, that's a good comparison. They are that good. I mean, they've made it now to, I think, 6 straight AFC Championship games. Mahomes has never not played in the AFC Championship game since he's been the starter. They're possibly going to now win their 3rd Super Bowl, but they're just so different. Mahomes is just so much more likable and relatable and seems, just cooler and just like a good dude more than Tom Brady, who doesn't seem like a bad person, but Brady was just always this golden god of a human being who just seemed like he was above everyone else. He was so beautiful. He was so talented. His life was so perfect. He's married to this supermodel. Whereas Mahomes just seems, he's super rich and successful now, but he also just seems really cool and likable. And same thing with Andy Reid. Andy Reid is like completely different end of the spectrum. Could you ever imagine Bill Belichick doing a State Farm commercial where he's trying to steal Patrick's Nuggies or Tom Brady's Nuggets? I mean, it's just, I've always loved Andy Reid personally, so maybe I'm a little bit biased on that, but it just seems like he's so totally different. How could you not like Andy Reid? So they just don't fit the bill as villains. I see why people are kind of sick of them and want to see something new, but I just don't think you can paint them in that same way as we used to paint the Patriots, who really did fit the villain role pretty well. I heard another good comparison was they were more like the Golden State Warriors when they were, having their dynasty, because everybody loved Steph and they were more likable and whatever. I was never a Warriors fan, although you can't not like Steph. But anyway, Brock Purdy also, I don't know why everyone is so one way or the other to the extremes with him. You either love him or you hate him, which is just, I think I mentioned earlier, kind of ironic to me because I don't think he's either great or bad. I think he's right in the middle, and I think that's probably how most people should feel about him. And I guess, of course, you can't just have, you can't just say that about a Super Bowl starting quarterback now. If, you're in sports media, you got to have a strong opinion one way or the other. I just think he's pretty good. He's not great. He's not bad, but he's very good. He's good. He's good for this team, and he fits. And, all right, that's enough. Okay, so one quick thing that I wanted to mention briefly, and I heard this on, I think it was Pro Football Talk this past Saturday. The best idea I have heard in a very, very long time is Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, since neither of them are going to be coaching this year, doing sort of what the Mannings are doing on ESPN with their Manning cast. Have, because the Mannings don't do that every week. You could even do it on ESPN and do it like alternate the weeks. Have them do a Bill and Nick broadcast of the game, or just a Nick and Bill show on TV. How wonderful would that be? Especially if it was sort of like a Manning cast thing where we could just watch these two, the two greatest maybe coaches in their, respective sports, well, college football and pro football, maybe in history, and just listen to them. And these two guys who already are friends and go way back, and listen to them talk and just get an in-depth and personal insight into everything that goes on in their brains watching these games. How amazing would that be? That's the best idea I've heard in a very, very long time. Anyway, so we talked about that. And, the Vols basketball team is, I think I jinxed them, but now it looks like they are back on track. Won in a big way against Kentucky. I also won a lot of money on that one, so very happy about that. Who do we have coming up? I can't remember who's next, but we did drop one spot after the South Carolina loss. We're now at 6, but it really feels like this team is rolling right now. And the way they played at Kentucky, Zakai Ziegler was unstoppable. Connect didn't even have a big game in that one. He was sort of secondary. It was really Ziegler who led the way, and Josiah Jordan-James who were, and that's what's so special about this team, I think, is it's the same team that was already really good last year without having an elite scorer. Now you add one of, if not the best pure wing scorers in college basketball to that team, and now it feels like they've kind of figured out how to play together and play with that new addition. yeah, this team is exciting, and hopefully we make it past the Sweet 16 this year because it seems like that's where we always get stuck. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. I want to thank everyone for listening in. Again, we're going to try to make some changes to the show. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out how to do this. I don't have cool graphics yet. I don't have anything interesting popping up. I've just got a sleeping ass dog over here and me rambling. But I am going to incorporate the kids more. I might try to do it maybe in different places. Maybe try to do Talking Sports at Work on the go. I don't know. But we'll figure it out. I'm going to try to mix it up. And I try, and it's not even just necessarily about making it more interesting. I mean, that is a huge deal, but it's also, keeping my own interest, because I mentioned how I have this tendency to sort of like just lose interest in things and give up once I get going on it. And I don't want to do that with this. I really want to stick to this. And so with that being said, tell your friends about it. Send the link, share the link, like it, subscribe, do all that stuff, because if I have more people listening, then I'll have more accountability and I'll feel like I can't quit doing it. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you again soon.